let's just pretend it's not happening.
Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, we're just gonna pretend it's happening. All right,
We
so
can
welcome
edit
back.
out the freezing.
Yeah, we'll edit it out. All right, tip to tip, How I Met Your Mother, the pilot episode. We watched it, so we were gonna watch it together, but then we realized there's like some copyright infringements and things like that. So we
We're
figured,
too poor
well,
to get sued.
yeah, definitely. We gotta at least get to episode 3 before we get sued. So we figure we watched it separately on the same day, so it's fresh to us.
It is fresh. I
And
watched
I'm
mine like an hour ago.
Yeah, I watched mine at lunch today. So I'll read the recap here. We'll go little by little. I got all kinds of notes I made, and very you were making fun of my notes because they're very you can't really see it. Listen, they're kind of all over the place. I don't. But
Yeah,
yeah,
your notes give me anxiety just like seeing them in a picture.
yeah, they're a little stressful. I'll post them. Maybe I'll
I
make it. Maybe I'll make it the cover picture of the podcast this week.
I channeled my inner Ted Mosby and busted out my legal pad.
Nice.
It's not yellow, it's
Oh,
pink,
that
but
would have been sweet if it was yellow. So all right, cool. So let's jump right in. I'll start reading how the
me
episode
too. I'll,
starts, and
I'll
we'll
go
just
to
kind
like
of
Office Max or something. I'll get some yellow legal pads.
all right, get like 12 of them. All right. Then we'll start from there. I'll read this first paragraph or whatnot, and we'll kind of shimmy from there. How does that sound?
Sick.
All right. Episode 1, the pilot. It is called the pilot. All right. The episode and series begins with future Ted, also Bob Saget, rest in peace, announcing to his 2 teenage children that he will be telling them the story of how he met their mother, and they are unamused. So this is cool to me because this is the start of everything. This is like, and we've all been there as kids. Like, mom and dad want to tell you a story, and you're like, "Here we friggin' go."
Right.
And I
The
believe they even say in there, "Is this a punishment?"
Yeah,
I think they ask.
the son's like, is
Yeah,
this a punishment? And I think the daughter was like, is this gonna take long?
yeah. He's like, "Yes."
Subsequently, it took 7 years
Yeah, just
if we're
about.
going by Showtime.
All right. So in 2005, law student Marshall decides to propose to kindergarten teacher Lily, his longtime girlfriend. As he rehearses the proposal to their college friend roommate Ted at the apartment, Marshall asks Ted what he so Marshall asks Ted what he'll be doing that night while they get engaged. So basically, Marshall's running through with Ted how to propose, going through the scenarios, what he'll be doing. And then Ted's like, "Oh, it'll be awesome. It'll be amazing." And then Marshall kind of is like, "So, what are your plans tonight?" And that kind of Debbie Downs Ted a little bit
Right.
because he's like, "Oh, they got this big proposal and marriage planned, and I'm just here." And I think to me that's super relatable because I think in our lives we're constantly comparing to where we should be as opposed to where we are.
Oh, 100%.
And
I made the same note. I was like, the whole Marshall asking Ted, yeah, so what are you doing tonight? And Ted's just like, oh, what am I doing tonight? I'm calling
right,
your Uncle Barney. I think it makes it more impactful in a way because you get a sense of like where Ted is, but where he wants to be.
agreed. I think it's he wants to be where Marshall is.
Yeah.
And I often would get mad at Tim, as you know, when he would take for granted what was going on with you guys. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd give anything to be in your freaking shoes and not out here chasing tail with Uncle Barney every night. So I think that that's definitely relatable.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
so then this causes Ted to reflect on his life, as we were just talking about, believing at the age 27, which I think is fascinating to me. Now that I'm 34, I think, look, so I probably thought more of marriage at 27 than I do at 34. And I think that's crazy.
I was married at 27.
You were.
I
I,
actually I was married at 26.
I just think it's crazy to, well, I mean, which is a perfect example because I'm like, okay, people are getting married. And it's almost like we've built into a society that you have to do it. There's this like rule book on life
It's like an
almost.
unspoken rule, like you have to do this by this age, you have to do this by this age.
Yes, and I think that's why Ted was so perplexed by
Which also, like,
it.
I don't know if it's the quality of 2005 sitcoms, but why did they all look like children? Like they look
They
so much
did,
younger than 27.
which also is crazy because I think they were in their 30s filming this,
I'm
the
pretty sure they
actors and
were, yeah.
actresses. So I
Yeah.
think that's even crazier.
Yeah. I mean, Ted looks like he could pass for 22. Like, bro,
Um,
you got nothing to worry about.
right. I think I'm gonna be all right. I got my beard's looking good today. Um, so then, uh, so at age 27, he feels ready to start searching for his soulmate, the one. And then he calls Barney because subsequently he needs somebody to go out with that night to
Yeah.
search for his soulmate, if you will. And what I was laughing at is so when Ted called Barney, um, he says, what are you doing tonight? Because Marshall asked him, what am I doing tonight? And Barney goes, if I'm not mistaken, he's in the barber chair. And he says, totally ignoring what Ted has to say, trying to make plans, he goes, I have a thing for half Asian girls. And then he just moves on to how he wants a Lebanese chick.
Right.
And I
I also noted that, but not to the point of like Barney's character. It was kind of more of a nod to how much times have changed.
that you can't
And
say Lebanese chicks.
I mean, you can't just toss around the whole like, oh, well, I want to do this, this, and this nationality. It's like you could get away with so much more in 2005 that just would not work now.
Right. And if there's any Asian or Lebanese chicks listening to this podcast, email me at gretpaul013 at gmail.com for science.
For
So,
science.
yeah, so for me, this was a very, how we talked about I balanced Ted and Barney. This was a very me looking for something to do, but also, in my opinion, somebody venting to me and me totally just thinking about something way off track. I'm way over here. And I thought that was pretty funny. All right. So, they get to McLaren's, the local bar, situated underneath their apartment block, which is weird to call it an apartment block. I felt like.
Right.
I mean, that is what it is, but we don't call it in Ohio. We don't call it that. We just say apartment building. So I thought that was kind of a weird wording on that. Along with a close friend and smooth talking womanizer Barney, Ted meets Robin. So prior to that, Ted's talking to some girl, and I wrote this down somewhere on these notes here. Ted was talking to this girl, and he went from, which I thought was a very Grant move. He went from telling her how he's not looking for nothing, he's fine, everything's okay, good for Marshall and Lily, to basically trauma dumping on her and then planning out his whole wedding.
And he's got all of the details.
Yeah,
Like,
he goes, not something I think about very much, but he's got everything detailed to whether it's a band or a DJ.
I think it's funny how like he starts off by saying, "Oh, it's not going to be anything extravagant. Like we're going to keep it super simple." And then he rattles all of this stuff off. And then for people like us who have watched the entire show, you think, or at least I immediately thought to season 9 when they show him and Tracy planning the wedding
Yep.
and they're like coming in on a hot air balloon in France. I'm like, yeah, this totally tracks. Like Ted Mosby will always be like super extra when
Over the
it comes
top.
to the romance.
So I believe Barney also asks at some point, oh, he tells Ted to suit up for the first time in this episode
Yes.
when they're going to make McLaren's. And I think that's funny because Barney is such an interesting character to me now that I look at him because it's not about suiting up. It's about getting Ted to do
Oh,
what
lost you.
Barney's doing. Oh, well, wait a second. He'll come back. We're gonna come back. Here we go. It's coming. We're almost there. There we go.
It's coming.
We got it.
God, the internet hates me this week. It's
I
it's
know.
totally it's totally me.
So I think it's funny that it's about Ted getting or Barney getting Ted to do something he wants, he likes. He wants Barney to engage in something they can do together.
Right.
And Ted's just like, nah, I'm good. He's like, I did wear a suit that one time. And Barney's like, that was a blazer, which made me laugh because Saturday
You were
you
gonna
said
wear a
I
blazer.
was gonna wear a blazer, and we were getting out of my car, and you're like, "Oh my god, you are Ted Mosby."
Yep.
um, so the girl he was talking to, he ends up asking out on a date as Marshall and Lily drop the well, Marshall drops the question to Lily, and Ted asks the girl on a date, which was such a good simultaneously at different places and different times, two different stories, but with the same type of outcome, a yes
Yeah.
or no answer.
Yeah.
And then we meet an underrated character, in my opinion, Carl
Carl
the
Burnett.
bartender,
Yes. Love
which
Carl.
which is so funny because I didn't realize until I was watching it. I'm like, oh my god, like a sub character was introduced in the pilot we never realized because throughout the
There were a
years,
couple
Carl's
of
always
sub
the bartender.
characters. There were
So
a
I
couple
think
of sub
that's
characters introduced in the pilot. We
yeah,
get Carl and we get the introduction to Ranjit too.
Rajit. Um, so then and this is just a brief breakdown. That's why I keep stopping because it doesn't give too much. So then oh, this is great. So Robin, the journalist at Metro News One, who is new in town, their eyes meet across the room, and Ted points her out to Barney, and Barney makes a crude remark. Ted begins obsessing at the perfect way to approach Robin. So he was talking about like standing over here, and she'll put, typical Ted, elaborate, like for somebody who believes so much in destiny and love at first sight, and he totally wants to be the puppeteer of it all. I feel like.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Barney plays your favorite game with me. Have you met Ted? And
Love having that
you
Ted.
are known to wherever we are, be like, have you met Grant? And
I
I don't
haven't
know
had
that
the
that's
opportunity to do that in quite a while either.
yeah, it's been
Have a
quite a
phone.
while. Well, we don't go out much anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, we're old now, so.
Yeah, but if you do want to meet Grant, hit me up at. So yeah, that was again huge line used the whole rest of the series right there. Same with Suit Up.
Yes. There are a
Um,
lot of things in the pilot that set up instances for the rest of the season.
and catchphrases for the whole season.
The one thing that I noticed, which it's been a long time since I've watched How I Met Your Mother and not had it on as like background
Background,
noise,
yeah.
and I was like super hyper focused paying attention to it.
It was
Um,
weird almost.
it was weird.
Yeah.
Marshall does the robot for the first time in the pilot.
Oh, he does. You're right.
And the robot is such a vital piece
Yes.
of How
Well,
I
she's
Met Your
like,
Mother
got it on
history.
all night long or whatever he did.
Yes. But like he does the robot dance several times throughout the series. He
Yes.
has the robot cookie jar in the apartment. And then you have the robot that eventually appears in the Robin Sparkles music videos.
Yes. Oh, there's so many good things. So they go on their
Odd
first
that the
successful
creators
date.
used to like add something so small as like, yeah,
Right, but they keep it going through like the whole series is
exactly.
just
It's
impressive.
classic.
So then Ted asks Rob. Oh, so Robin's with a bunch of haters. Her friend broke up with her boyfriend, and they're in like a pitchfork and like we hate men. Ah!
Yeah, men are
And
the devil kind of thing.
yeah, so Ted brilliantly is like, "Do you want to throw that drink in my face?" And Robin's like, "Oh shit, that would score me brownie points with them." And that is immediately the first of endless selfless things Ted will do for Robin.
And
They
just
even
love in
jeopardize
general.
himself. Yes, love in general, but mostly Robin.
Yeah, it definitely sets up
Dynamic between the two. I think you
the
froze.
eagerness that Ted
There
has
you go.
to just kind of go above and beyond to make sure that this oh it did freeze.
You're good.
The eagerness that Ted has to just like do whatever it takes, do whatever is necessary for this woman who at the time he doesn't even
Exactly.
know.
I think more than Ted liking Robin, Ted likes the idea of Robin and who Robin could be in his life, is what I think. Um, you there? You good?
We back.
All right, we're here. So I think that's the most important that Ted thinks Robin. It's not just her; it's the idea of her that
Yeah.
Ted's falling in love with.
Yeah.
Which brings us to they threw the drink. They went on their first date. That's where we got introduced to the blue French horn, one of the most iconic items in How I Met Your Mother. Um, and I like that. Where I wrote it here somewhere. Where is it? Smurf penis. Ted
An
calls it a
iconic
Smurf
line.
penis.
An iconic line.
Yep. And then he says to his kids, and kids, or he says to his son, and son, when going on a date with a woman you like, you should probably not reference Smurf penis. Good fatherly advice.
Right. Super solid advice. But it also then gives the show the opportunity to show us as viewers that Robin is very different. Like
Yes. She
she's
thought it
not
was
your
funny.
average
Yeah.
girl at the bar.
Yeah. She wasn't like, oh, a penis joke. Ugh.
Yeah,
She
or like
was
rolled
like,
her eyes or
oh,
whatever.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Um, so while at dinner, they also run into the olive theory,
Love the olive theory.
which was Lily and Marshall. Marshall didn't want his olives, so Lily ate them, and that's why they're a perfect match for each other. And Ted basically built all relationships going forward from this theory. It
Yes.
had to be a
Yes.
thing. Um,
Hey, it's worked out twice in my life so far because I hate olives.
yeah, I think most of the women in my life they have in common they hate me. So I don't think it works the same way. But
They love olives, but they hate you.
yeah, they just don't like the person not liking the album. So then Ted they have their date. Everything's perfect. She's the perfect woman. They get to her house and this was weird. The news truck pulls up as if they were running all over town looking for Robin. Like she doesn't have a
Right.
cell phone. It was 2005. I mean, they could
Yeah,
have
they had cell
called her.
phones in 2005.
Right. So they could have just
They were a
called
little
her.
bulky, but
Right. But so then they had a jumper on the bridge. So when they're saying goodnight, Ted doesn't kiss Robin. And that was like the cardinal, like watching it, you're like, how'd you miss that?
right.
And then the best part is they go to him telling about his date, and all his friends are like, how'd you miss that? And then I think one of my favorite parts about that was when Lily, what did she say? She said, you can ask anybody in the world, and Ted said something like, it doesn't count. You two are together. You always know the signal or whatever it is. And Lily says, you can call any single person in the world, even the dumbest one you know, and ask them. In fact, let's do it or something like that. And they call Barney.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, if you don't believe me, just call him.
Yeah. And
Like
that reminded me so
insinuating
much
that
of
they know
you.
the stupidest single person in the world.
Yes. Um, so even Barney was like, you're an idiot. You missed the sign.
I do love that that's kind of like the first instance that we see Lily as like a nurturer for Ted, but also a ball buster.
Yes. Like,
Um,
Ted, get your head out of your ass.
yeah, like
Kind
love
of like
you. I'm
the,
here to help, but you're an idiot.
right. And even with the whole group, like the way she acts towards Barney, too. Like, it wasn't a mean, let's call the stupidest single person we know.
Right.
It was everybody knew who she was talking about, so it was funny type
Exactly.
comment.
Exactly.
There's just so many episodes in this one story. You got Robin and Ted, you got Robin in the news truck, you got Ted and thinking about Robin, you got Barney wanting Ted to be playing laser tag with him
You've
and
got Barney
suiting up.
playing laser tag.
You got Barney playing laser tag. He's going to tell that kid's mom on him. You got Lily and Marshall. Then you got Lily and Ted, Marshall and Ted. Oh, we're running out of time.
Damn, already.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how much longer that means we have. But
It
so
says 9 minutes,
9 minutes.
9 minutes, 50 seconds.
We can do it. I got
Yeah,
faith.
we got
So
this.
we'll skip right to the jumper on the bridge. Um, Ted goes, they all get a cab together to go for Ted to go win Robin over. He goes, he stops, he steals a blue French horn. He gets there. Um, and before he gets there, he says something, oh, Robin's on TV. And he says, unlike the jumper, I need to take the leap. And everybody's like, oh, Ted, terrible joke. And I just thought that was hilarious.
Yes, I love that line.
So then Barney says, they're in the cab. Ted gets out to go talk to Robin, and Barney says, oh, where is it? Something about, hold on, I got the, oh, here we go. Ted's going to get with a TV reporter that's just in. And I thought that was fantastic. So in the cab, we prove the olive theory is not a thing. Um, and that proves to me that this show is based on love. And no, everything doesn't have to be perfect as long as you love.
Yeah,
And Lily and Marshall loved each other, so it didn't matter that Barney debunked their love.
right.
That's why she said, "We'll just make it work."
Exactly. Exactly.
And then Ted goes up to the apartment. Him and Robin are doing their thing. They're about to get it on, and he says, "I think I love you." And what an iconic moment!
And then an even more iconic moment, they cut to everyone's reaction
Yeah,
simultaneously,
even
which
the
is also not
kids. Oh, you froze.
a lot of, as
There
far
you go.
as I can recall. I mean, I was pretty young in 2005.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
fuck
go.
you, internet.
Oh, it would be when we're on time crunch. There you go.
Oh,
Oh,
are we back?
we're back. Maybe.
Oh,
Are we good? Woohoo! Woohoo!
they also had these problems in 2005.
Yeah. So yeah, if that's why they couldn't get a hold of Robin, they couldn't zoom her. um. So yeah, I think the reaction to the kids was huge. Um. I'm not sure what you were gonna say. I'm gonna keep going here though. Ranjit got introduced.
That's okay.
All right, there you go. Ranjit got introduced. I think we're good now. Um. So yeah, I just think the oh, even Carl was like in the bar. You should have kissed her. I thought
Right.
that was cool because how many times have we had bartenders come to our table where we're telling a story and they're like, "Yeah, we agree with them," or "Yeah,
Hmm.
they were right."
Pretty frequently, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then, oh, it reminded me of you. Lily reminded me of you when they went to McLaren's in Left 10. And I forget, Barney said something. And she's like, let's go to the bar. I've had my Barney limit for the day. And it
Yep.
reminded me of you.
Yep. She's like, okay, that's enough of Barney for right now.
Yep. So, but yeah, Ted didn't kiss her. And then he rattles on his whole big speech, which I highlighted here and I identify. Ted explains he's just not good at being single. He wants to be a dad. He wants to be a husband. He wants to be in love. And he's not good at being single.
Right.
And then he missed his chance again.
Yeah, I mean, they got in the cab so he could go and kiss her.
And he didn't
And then
kiss her.
he blows it essentially 3 times. He blows it at the date. He blows it upstairs in the apartment because he told her that he was in love with her. And then he blows it downstairs when he's going to leave.
Yep. So
Dude can't, he,
essentially,
he can't close.
no. And he was just scared, I think. I think he was
Yeah.
just terrified
Yeah.
of that rejection, which he ultimately got anyways.
Yeah, he got it anyway.
Right. So to wrap it all up, it ends with Ted's talking to his kids and he says, and kids, that's how I met your Aunt Robin. And these kids are just flabbergasted. They're like, what the hell? And I think that's just great. That's fantastic. Because now we have this whole story of how we met your mother.
Exactly.
and
And
it
like
leads up to that.
how many things did Ted have to go through before he got to meet the mother?
Exactly. Friendships, unfriending, it's just, it's endless. And that's how life works. It's not just from A to B, there's a lot
Exactly.
in between. And I think that is very special.
There's a couple of things that I noticed upon rewatching the pilot that I've never noticed before. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but
Okay.
I did jot down a couple. When they're in the cab sitting outside of Robin's apartment, just Marshall, Barney, Lily, and Ranjit, there is a red rose on the dash of Ranjit's.
Oh man, I lost you again.
And I thought it was really funny because when they pan to it, Ted's getting, no,
There
this is
you
a
go.
great point.
You're back. Red
All right, so
Rose, Ranjit.
they pan to the whole like interior of the cab and you can see the red rose and it's as Ted is getting out of the car and he holds up the blue French horn and he goes, "Everybody brings flowers."
Oh, it's true.
And
I didn't notice that.
that made me smile. It made my heart feel happy because it there's so many subtle things that they did that they didn't even really have to do, but like it makes you pay attention just ever
A
so
little
slightly.
bit more. Yeah, I agree.
Another thing that I found really interesting that I don't know if I've ever pieced this together. Robin lives in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And then there's an episode where they're tripping out about Jersey. So I don't know the difference between New York City and Brooklyn.
I mean, it's still Brooklyn's obviously still in New York, but like it's nowhere near the bar.
Right. So it was definitely a hike to get to Robin for this kiss he didn't get.
So like why was she ends?
Yeah, yeah, it was just um I like the other thing that I picked up on was with Ranjit. So it was kind of like our group of friends where no matter where we'd go, we'd suck you in and you'd be part of the group. Even if you
Yep.
weren't hanging out with us, you were part of it. Like the bartender, the cab driver, the Uber driver, the guy selling something on the street, the homeless guy. We always involved everybody, and they
The
do that
random
really
dude on the
well.
patio smoking a cigarette.
Yep, they
Yeah.
really do that well in this show, pulling everybody in, and
Yes.
it's not just focused on these people. There's actually a world going on around this story,
Yeah.
which I think is awesome.
And they want you to feel that too, which is,
Yes.
I think, super important
Yeah, I think that's a big deal.
for the rest of the show.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't make it feel as generic almost like Friends. They have that whole coffee shop
Yeah,
of
see,
friends, and we never
it all
interact with
comes
anybody.
it all comes back to Friends versus How I Met Your Mother.
Yep, Friends. Yep, Linda likes to shit on them, but he gets 1K views on TikTok, so I'm here for it.
Sorry,
So,
guys.
all right, well, that's all we got, I believe, unless you got anything else.
Sorry, Ross. I don't remember your real.
Ross, I don't know. He was the lawyer in the Kardashian in the OJ Simpson thing. That's his claim to fame. So, all right, up top.
Up top.
All right, later, guys.